I am so sorry about that. So, Lindsay, I know that you've sat patiently while I have got over all of my technical issues.
Don't
As I
worry.
as I said to you before, I haven't done one of these live streams for absolutely ages. So welcome back.
Thanks for
And
having me.
oh, it's so good to have you back with me. Also, welcome to anybody tuning in. If you don't know who I am, my name's Vanessa-Mary, and I am a holistic wellbeing coach based in Nottingham. My excitement is, well, I'm always like this, to be fair, but the reason why I'm super excited is because I've had a conversation with Lindsay many, many weeks ago. The recording was actually 42 weeks ago, it told me on my
Oh my
timeline. So
goodness.
that is a long time ago. And of course, we spent time together last year in May, and we're getting ready to do it all again. So, welcome back, Lindsay. Did you want to tell everybody who you are and where you are zooming in from today, please?
Yeah, so I am Lindsey Hall. I'm a divorce and intimacy coach. So I help people, I support them through divorce, dating, and co parenting, all with a foundation of pleasure, power, and joy. Or the shorter version of that, as somebody described me one time, was you're like divorce, but fun.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
yeah, we go through this, what is a really tough time in life, but with my characteristic bubbliness and excitement. I
Yeah.
am American, as you can probably guess from my accent, but I've lived here for 15 years now and I'm in Sheffield.
Wow, American in Sheffield. And there goes Sheffield again. So, Sheffield has been such a central part of my heart this year for so many different reasons, which I won't go on to on this call. But if you do know me personally, you'll be quite aware of things that have happened to me this year in my family situation. And the city of Sheffield has been at the core of that. So, yeah, we're starting with Sheffield.
Yeah, like the
But,
connection.
yeah, so obviously last year you came over from Sheffield to Nottingham and you were exhibiting with us. So before we go into that, I'll just let the audience, I'll just give them a little flavour of what the event is and who it's for so that they're aware, just in case people are not, they're not even aware that we're doing this again. So, as you know, Lindsay, my event's called Seeds of Unlimited Success, and it's about growing your family legacy. So, the idea is that I bring family led business owners together. So, this is people who work in a family environment. So, it could be husband and wife, it could be two sisters, it could be brothers, cousins, whatever that means to them. Or we have mums and dads who are working in business, but they are, I would say, the drive, why am I doing this? Sitting up into whatever hours, it's because they're wanting to create wealth, legacy, and security for their present generation, but also for their future generations. So that's who the event is aimed at. So we're coming back. Same location, Eastwood Hall. So I'll ask you about your thoughts about Eastwood Hall shortly. But Eastwood Hall on Saturday, the 18th of May. Hopefully we'll have good weather
17th.
again. Oh, 17th. Oh, gosh. She's caught me out. It was the 18th last year, wasn't it? 17th of May. Yes, that's correct. So 17th of May, which is a Saturday. I've chosen Eastwood Hall again. So just before we go into what you'll be doing at this year's event, did you want to give anybody some thoughts and ideas about what you thought of the venue? Because I think that was your first time at the venue last year, wasn't it?
It was. I really liked it. I think it was a great choice. There was easy parking, which for me is always a big win. I hate stressing out about parking. It was beautiful location, great space, everything. Yeah, it was all set up really good. The lunch was good. I'm gluten-free. There was good gluten-free options. And I also really liked that it was easy enough because there was a couple times in the day where I was like, there's just so many people. And I quick snuck outside and sat on the grass and like just had a moment in the fresh air and then could go back in. So I liked that was an option too.
Yeah, I'm glad that you were able to take advantage of the outdoor location, because myself, I never got to experience the out. Just right at the end, when everybody had gone home, I did take some photographs outside with our keynote speaker who was with us last year. So that's Gazala. We took some beautiful photographs. But yes, I did choose the location on purpose, in the sense of the key themes are health, wealth, and relationships. And I just thought to myself, anybody who really wants that experience of the outdoors, whether they do it during the lunch. I know some people had stayed over, so maybe it could have been the morning, they went for a walk before the event actually started. I wanted people to almost have that experience of a wellness retreat without me advertising it as a wellness retreat, because the facilities, there's a gym, jacuzzi, they advertise themselves as a wellness space as well. So I'm glad that you experienced that. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So last year you were in our exhibitor lounge, and obviously you got to experience the masterclass sessions, hear from the speakers. But this year, when I said, "Oh, I'm doing it again," you was like, "Oh, I would really like to present this year, please." And I was like, "Okay, no problem. Let's have a chat about that." So, well, let me just go back a little bit. So last year, again, I wasn't able to participate in your session. You did a huddle session for us. So you was exhibiting, and also I called it a power huddle. I'm not actually having a power huddle this year, but I'll explain what's replacing that. So there are lovely photographs of you sitting in the lounge area with people that were, speaking with you. I know it's confidential, the depths of what people were discussing, but what were the highlights of those conversations there, please?
It was really interesting because we started just talking about old, like past relationships and how they affect our new relationships, and co-parenting dynamics, and particularly what we were talking about that day was kind of people saying, actually, I'm not a parent, but my partner has a co-parent, and how do I interact with their co-parenting, and or what's not mine to deal with, because it's between those two. I talked about dating as a solo parent. So I'm a single parent, but I 50-50 co-parent. So I only have my kids half the time, and I can date when they're at their dad's. But there are people, plenty of people who have their kids all the time. And how do you start dating again then when you are the sole carer for your kids? So there was lots of cool stuff that came up, actually.
Wow, so many different dynamics and the terminology. So what I would do, I wanted to listen back to our recording from last year, but like I said, I've spent an hour trying to sort out the technical aspects of this. So I'm going to listen back. I know that last year, that was more like us two getting to know each other. Obviously, you did the event, and then we saw each other in December in Barnsley at another event. So I know that in terms of our connection, it has gone deeper, which I really like that. And I love your posts on social media.
And I love your support. Thanks.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's all genuine, I love the images that, I know that you've spent time with the photographer, but I always think, gosh, did they actually plan that? Did they script everything? Or, could you tell me about that? But before you do, just tell us what you actually do as a coach and who you are serving, please, Lindsey.
Yeah, so it really is anywhere through that kind of treacherous divorce phase of life. And people have asked me a lot. When I sort of niched down into being a divorce coach, I thought that was super niche. People keep saying, but specifically, which part of the divorce phase? And I'm like, all of it. So I refuse to kind of niche down even further, because it might be before you even finalize your decision. So you might still be in I'm thinking about divorce and I can't quite make up my mind. And actually I can come in and offer, I tend to suggest 3 sessions where we look at kind of what you're afraid of, what it is that you want from your life, and that sort of thing. So I can help you get comfortable with the decision that you're going to make there. It can be after you've already separated and you are going, oh my gosh, I'm feeling all these big feelings, and how on earth do I navigate this storm? I remember when I was going through mine, feeling like I couldn't even tell up from down anymore. I just felt like I was tossed around in the ocean, and I needed somebody to just like take me and put my feet back on the floor, so I at least knew what was what. So I can help kind of make sense of that. And then also if you are a bit further along and going, there's co-parenting business. It's not going like I want it to go. Like, this is really hard. And I can help people with that. And particularly when I talk about co-parenting stuff, it's not about changing your co-parent in any way. This is all about how can you affect you, because that's the only thing you can control. So I really help people look at kind of letting go of that. But my co-parent said this or did this or isn't doing that, and it's all their fault. And actually, it's how do you respond to these things? How do you react? How do you use your time? How do you prioritize you? So it's one-sided co-parenting support.
Wow. So I just want to go back to the term divorce coach. Is this your work specifically for those who have had a legal partnership? So they've been legally married and then they are legally
it's
getting
shorthand,
divorced.
but really it's anybody who is breaking up from a long-term partnership has the feelings are pretty universal. The legal status doesn't matter at all. It's the how do you process the breakdown of a long-term significant relationship? And I am not the judge of what long-term or significant means. You can come to me at any point if you feel like this applies to your situation. That's what matters.
And then the second question, would it be for those who've had a family together, or do you support couples who didn't have any offspring together? So there was no children.
I tend to work more with parents, so those who had children together, but it's not exclusive. It's just that when you have kids together, there tends to be an ongoing relationship with this person. So it can really require longer term support in that sense, trying to figure out how do you break up with somebody but continue to see them and have contact with them. However, I don't want to diminish from the pain and the emotions that come along with breaking up with somebody without children. That still has a huge emotional impact. So I very much do still work with people who don't have kids together as well. And that's all about how do you process those emotions? How do you pull the lessons from your relationship? What do you want to do differently going forward? What is it how do you forgive yourself or your partner about, for how the relationship ended? So there's still lots to do around that part too.
Yeah, I can imagine there is. I say imagine. First of all, I've never actually been married. And then second thing, I've been a mum since I've been 17, so I've never actually had like just time where it was just me, just thinking about myself, but that's another story. So there was another question that I wanted to ask you coming out of that. Yes, so the co-parenting side of it, like you said, then because there are children involved, this conversation, it continues essentially. And I think, don't quote me, but I definitely would have mentioned to you on the recording or in our green room that when I was going through my situations raising my children, because I identified as a single mother, so there was no co-parenting at all. It was literally, I would be lucky if I got any type of support. My success and how I managed to transform my life around being a young mom was actually having a support network, which was my family and my close friends. And I will always be forever grateful for the help that they gave me, because when I think about it, people say to me, oh, you're so busy, and I'm thinking, I've always been so busy. That's how I kind of like transformed. That was my personal development, starting with volunteering, then getting the confidence to go to college, then going to university. How did all of that happen when I had these young children? So this is my daughter and my son. My daughter, you've met Destiny. She's a nurse. She's got her wonderful daughters. So I'm a grandmother. And my son, he's 27. Again, young man. He's produced the music that I use now in my videos. So he's a music producer and a very creative soul. And then I have little Zenta. So how did I manage to do all of that? I wish that co-parenting was something that was more spoken about. So we're talking about, I don't know what year it would have been, like 2000s or so. But it wasn't. The first people that I'd ever heard of co-parenting was Gwyneth Paltrow and Christopher Martin. I don't know if they made it famous or, can you give us a little bit of a history of where this co-parenting term has come from, please?
Oh, I don't know that I do know kind of the history of when it shifted. I just know that it has shifted big time, and that I think it used to be kind of the default maybe would be that dads had the kids every other weekend or something like that. That was kind of starting point for this sort of thing. But it's very much shifted now where the norm, and if you have to go to court for it, and I'm a big advocate of trying to keep things out of court if you can, going through it amicably, but like even if you do go to court, for the most part, the courts favor a 50-50 split now, so there's been a big shift societally and legally that actually dads are equal parents. And that's the starting point. You're an equal parent unless for some reason you're not, as opposed to, it used to be, well, mom's the parent and dad will come in and take them off your hands for some, a couple weekends a month or something like that. So I don't know exactly when it's happened, but it has shifted. And again, that is not everybody's experience. I really say I also know plenty who just walk away, and parenting by yourself is very much still a thing. I don't want people to be sitting here listening to this being like, what is she talking about? That's not the case.
Yes, I agree with you because, without going into too much details of my own personal life, but my son definitely needed his dad. And I feel like when we tried to get to that point where his dad was going to be more involved, it was too late. So really, if anybody is listening to this, then obviously I can relate. As a single mom, I have had those responsibilities. I've worn the t-shirt there, but in my heart, I was looking for something where there was no animosity, there was no backlash, and conflict that the children were seeing, but such is life. And I feel like I have learned my lessons from that experience in my life, and I definitely relate. I've had single mums that have come into my community, and I definitely know where they're coming from. So let's take it up again now. So when I said to you, oh, Lindsey, okay, you're going to be doing this talk, so I've got a health zone, an enterprise zone, and obviously what I'm calling like a general learning zone, connection zone. Which one did you want to be in? I thought you was going to say healthy. You was like, no, I want to be in the enterprise. And the title of your masterclass is Love and Business. It's all connected. Why did you really see yourself in this conversation? And I've kind of got a sense of what you're going to say from my own life, but in your words, why did you think, that this, your speciality, your expertise are right in the center of those who are running their business? What was that for you?
Yeah, it's because for so long we've kind of been taught or expected that home life and work life are two totally separate things, and that you should kind of, when you get to the office, you leave your home life at the door, and so that you don't, your personal relationships are your personal relationships and they don't factor into work life. And that's the case whether you're working with your family or not. So this could be if you are employed elsewhere, or if you are in business with your significant other or family, but home is home and work is work. And I just think that's utter baloney, to be totally honest, because it is all connected. Our personal relationships, particularly our partners, our intimate partners, they play a huge role in our lives. So when things are going well in your personal life, it gives you that boost everywhere else. And then things are falling apart, it's really hard on every other part of your area, every other area of your life. And people think, and it's something that I've seen with divorce clients going like, I'm going to try and put my divorce over there and just carry on with work and, it'll be fine. And it's not. These there's no way that you can tell me that you have a big fight with your partner, you get in some big blow up about something, and that you then go into work and suddenly your nervous system is calmed down again. Your body is still holding on to the reaction from that fight or from the feeling disconnected or not seen or whatever it is that's going on at home. Your body still carries that. Your hormones are still happening. Your nervous system is still reacting from whatever that was. So physically, scientifically, it really does carry in. So I wanted to do this class and I wanted it to be in the enterprise part because I want to dispel the myth that home is home and work is work, and go, actually, this all matters. And if you are a business person who gets support for other things in your business that you don't know how to handle, you might call in copywriting support or marketing support or sales support or web design or any other million things that I've learned setting up my own business you need support in. We reach out to others who know more about these things than we do. And yet people don't reach out for help when it comes to their relationships because they think that that's separate. And so, I want to say, actually, your love life is a business issue too, particularly if you are a small business owner. It's a business issue no matter what, but when you're in a bigger business, you have more team around you who can sort of, cover those bumps on the road. But when you're kind of the main person, who else is going to be covering those bumps with you? That, you need to be on your game.
Yeah, that's very interesting because obviously the invitation is for family-led businesses. So if you have a husband and wife, for example, who have started a business together and then they have a family together, but then they want to get divorced, whether it's legal or they're just parting companies, they've then got not only the separation of the business to deal with, but as you're saying, how do we actually co-parent? Hopefully they've gone down that route, not one of them saying, that's it, I'm off, and leaving the other not only with the business to continue or sell whatever they wanted to do there, but also manage the family. So I think it's a very important service that you're offering. And we don't know when these things are going to come up for us. It's all about emotions at the end of the day. I've studied emotional fitness. So I'm not coaching emotional fitness as often as I'd like to, but it's definitely something that I'm aware of, and our emotions in business do matter, obviously, for how we show up and the actions that we take in our business. That's all about how we feel about ourselves. But as you said, if we then have things going off in our private life as well, that can have an impact on the business in many ways. So that's so interesting.
I worked with a woman who she and her husband had started this business together. They've been in business for many years. And then when they split up, he left the business and she stayed on to run it. But it was a hell of a time, because now not only do you've got all the emotional stuff from breaking up with this partner, but it's also brought into your daily work. And now you're trying to, from a business point of view, factor out one of the directors. Yes. She was trying to, she was all in a mess herself and trying to still make all these business decisions. So the business really started to suffer at that time because she was not at full strength. The staff all, because there was other staff that weren't family members, but they had all kind of acted, it felt like we're all close-knit. Yeah. Staff are trying to choose sides between what he said and she said. And it gets even messier. The good news is she got the support and she worked through it all. She had a good team in place that, kept the business going, and it's stronger now than it ever was before. But it was tricky for a while.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad that they had a happy outcome. And, when you speak about directors, okay, so some people in their, let's call it intimate relationship, they might not have been married. They're just long-term partners. But for many of us who've set up a business, then you may have got a legal structure within the business, you know? So, as you said, if you are bringing in members of your family, particularly if it was an intimate partner, um, as a legal director, then obviously we're dealing with company's house and everything like that, and share certificates, and you
Yeah.
know, so things have to be looked after properly. And I will say that this year, the young lady who she's a barrister actually, who will be doing the legal section for us, she will be talking about aspects like that, you know, just because you are together. Okay, let's take it from husband and wife. It might be daughter and mother. I mean, this is how my daughter and I am, you know, moving closer together in terms of the business. How do you make sure that you're managing that relationship in what I would say a more formal situation? Because obviously, if you're talking about shares and roles and responsibilities within the business, that does need to be addressed properly. So there's so much to think about.
There is. Yes.
Oh my gosh. But you know, this is one of the reasons why I am doing the event. You know, I'm trying to explain to people who are coming on board, and we've got some very exciting people coming up. I mean, everybody was exciting last year, but I've met like this whole community, and they're like really exciting. They're really supporting me. So you'll get to find out, you know, how they're supporting me and who's on the program and so forth as the days go past. But one of the things that I wanted to say was the fact that in our business life, I'm not just trying to create an event, okay? This is a community that I'm wanting family led businesses to think about. And, you know, you're at the heart of this with the relationship side, that, you know, working together as a community, we can support each other as we grow. So
Mhm.
the theme for this year is communication. We're going to have a lot of authors that are coming to exhibit and coming to speak. We have done the subtitle as Nurturing Your Pathway, which again, I do feel that, you know, this type of work that you're doing, if couples can get support, particularly around the co-parenting, that's what I'm really passionate about, being a mother myself and a grandmother, to make sure, like you said, don't just call a web designer and a copywriter. Make sure that your support team is actually reflective of work and home if you need that type of support so you can carry on. How do you nurture those relationships? Because again, as a woman who raised my older children alone, it's not nice them actually talking to me now that they're adults and saying how, well, the separation was, they were young, you know, but it still impacted them.
Mhm.
And you know, not having that deep connection with their father, that was really quite hurtful for them. So in that respect, I'm trying to create a community which is not just an event. You know, for anybody who's looking at what we're doing, I'm going to put the link for the website underneath. Please do not just see this as an event. This is a whole movement, you know. So someone like Lindsey, we're growing together. We're going to continue to talk. There's many people who unfortunately cannot be with us this year, Lindsey, but they're very much at the heart of our community. I mean, the wonderful woman that we've met mutually, Zoe Wadsworth, always have to give her a shout out. But you know, Zoe is so amazing, and she's definitely at the heart of what I'm doing. Again, she's a very good support within her own family and as a businesswoman. So, you know, families come in different shapes and sizes nowadays, as you will definitely know.
Yeah.
And how do people navigate building a business and all of the, it's a roller coaster, isn't it? It's an emotional roller coaster being in business. And then we have our family commitment. And then we have to look after ourselves as well. It's not just about giving to others. We also have to find time for ourselves. So there's a lot to think about there.
There is.
Yeah. So without giving away, obviously, I want people to come to the event. We're going to live stream as well. So there will be a live stream tickets available. So I'm going to be sharing more details about that soon. I know, stepping out of my comfort zone, Liz.
Got this.
But what I want to ask you is about just a few takeaways that you would expect people to leave with coming into your masterclass. What would you expect them to gain after being with you?
I think one of them is just sort of that aha moment of, oh, it really is all linked. So I want that, just kind of that awareness spark of going, oh, I can't separate home and work. Another is I will be talking about some practical things, like, so when you are, again, working with family or they're at home, communication, conflict resolution, how can we really help deepen these relationships? And these sort of tips and practical actions I'm talking about will apply when you're still in partnership and if your partnership's ended and you're now co-parenting. So they're kind of just human skills that I want. So the awareness, and there will be practical things of how do I help strengthen these relationships so that I can get the best out of my intimate relationships and out of my working life.
Excellent. I'm glad
they're linked.
Yeah, they're linked. And I'm glad that you've actually said if people are still together, then they'll still get value out of this, because obviously we do want people to have a happy family life as well,
Preventative care is better than intervention afterward.
Well, even as a wellbeing coach, I see myself definitely on the side of prevention. If people actually engage in what I'm saying and supporting them with, and I've got so much technology at my disposal now where I can tell people how they can look at their body on the inside before they get to a disastrous situation, then of course I want to be seen as prevention rather than supporting someone when actually, maybe we should have looked at this 5 or 10 years ago,
Yeah, exactly. And this session in particular will be that preventative step as well as the afterwards.
Wow.
So come to the session no matter what.
Come to the session no matter what. And I'm sure that these skills can be applied in other areas of people's relationships as well, not just relationships that they have with their family. Because as we know, being in business is all about relationships. Even the hermit is not going to get successful in their business without communicating with others and building positive relationships with others. So that's amazing. Well, Lindsey, it's been absolutely incredible to have this opportunity to connect with you again. I'm supposed to be doing a workshop myself this year. I have put myself down on the program, so yet again, I might not hear your session, but I do encourage anyone to follow Lindsey on. I follow her on LinkedIn. Is there anywhere else that you're promoting yourself?
I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. It's all Lindsey Hall Coaches, but LinkedIn is definitely my main home.
Yes, and I love the images that you put. I love the hooks that you write, and getting people engaged in your conversation. And again, you don't need to be divorced or separated for your message to resonate. I'm thinking actually what you're telling people, we can apply that into our life no matter what our personal status is in a relationship. So that's amazing. So Lindsey, I'm just thrilled to have you with us. For anybody watching right now as we're recording it on the 18th of March, we are now in the countdown to the early bird tickets. So the early bird prices do close on Friday, the 21st of March at midnight. So if this event is something that you're thinking, wow, I want to be there. I've done the show reel from last year, with all the photographs and everything. And I can't, the testimonials, I do feel quite humble, Lindsey, because I organised the event, but the testimonials were so impactful that it was one of those things where I just thought, I knew what I wanted to achieve. And based on the feedback that I gained, I felt as though I'd done that. So, this year we want to go bigger. We've got, like I said, a very exciting lineup. So one of the things I'll tell you that's been where the power huddles have been replaced, we're having a leadership panel this year in the afternoon. So we've got some fantastic speakers coming on there who work directly with their family. So we've got Linda Booth, who works with her husband and her son. We've got Dr. Priti Basra, who not only is she like an amazing woman in healthcare, but she also has another business and 3 children. Like, wow. And we've got Steve Bennett, who's like a real team leader in terms of business and what he's achieved. So now he's coaching others in how they can be successful. And we've got Yasmin Wong, who she works with her husband, her sister, and her sister's husband. And they're like doing so much amazing. And she's a mum as well, doing amazing things. So I'm definitely going to be at the front of the room taking very, very good notes. And that session's being facilitated by Jeff Smith, who is a dad, businessman, and an author. So again, we've got some amazing speakers just on that part of the day. Also including the masterclass sessions of which you're doing, and the exhibitors. So I can't do any more, Lindsey.
It's going to be a full day.
It's going to be a full day. And I must say that in terms of the virtual session, I won't give too much away now because I'm still in the planning phase. But the people that I've met quite recently who are giving me ideas on what the virtual session will look like, they're already blowing my mind. So once we've got a bit more details on that. Oh, we've got someone coming in. 1 minute. No.
You're doing good on timing.
Oh, exactly. So I knew that would happen. It always happens. So Lindsey, it's time for me to close out. This is what happens when you work at home.
Real life.
I'm still working at home. So next year, I hope to be in my nice office.
We will both be in different locations at this time.
We'll both be in but that will be a sign of our progress. But Lindsey, it's been absolutely amazing to have this time with you today. Thank you so much. And what we'll do is we will obviously have more conversations in between, and I will see you on Saturday the 17th of May.
See you soon.
Thanks, darling.
Bye.